The double-slit experiment is one of the most puzzling discoveries in modern physics. It shows that particles such as electrons behave like waves when not observed, yet appear as discrete particles when measured. This strange behavior has led to numerous interpretations in quantum mechanics, but no single explanation has been universally accepted. Physicists have proposed ideas such as the Copenhagen interpretation, the many-worlds interpretation, and pilot wave theory, yet each framework leaves unresolved questions. The experiment continues to generate intellectual debate rather than a final metaphysical understanding of reality. From the perspective of Shaktism, this situation can be viewed in a philosophical light that goes beyond physics. In Shakta philosophy, the ultimate dynamic principle of the universe is Shakti, the divine power that manifests and governs the cosmos. As Mulaprakriti, the primordial nature, Shakti gives rise to both the physical universe and the mental apparatus through which living beings perceive and interpret it. The intellect is considered one of the evolutes of this primordial power. It is the faculty through which the human mind analyzes, categorizes, and attempts to understand the world. However, this creates a profound philosophical paradox. If the intellect itself arises from Mulaprakriti, then the instrument used to understand reality is already part of the cosmic process that shapes and limits perception. In other words, the mind attempts to comprehend the universe using tools that belong to the very structure it is trying to transcend. The attempt to reach ultimate truth through intellectual activity alone may therefore be inherently constrained. The persistent mystery of the double-slit experiment can be interpreted within this framework. The phenomenon continuously stimulates intellectual inquiry while resisting definitive explanation. Each attempt to interpret the experiment produces new theories and debates, yet none provides a final resolution. The intellect becomes engaged in an ongoing process of analysis, constructing increasingly sophisticated conceptual models that still fail to capture the ultimate nature of the phenomenon. From a Shakta perspective, this endless interpretive activity reflects the operation of Maya, the power of Shakti that both reveals and conceals reality. Maya does not merely create illusions, it structures the way reality appears to consciousness. Through Maya, the world seems intelligible and open to analysis, yet its deepest nature remains hidden. The intellect is therefore drawn into a continual effort to decode reality, generating knowledge while never reaching complete understanding. In this sense, the mind becomes metaphorically entangled. Just as quantum particles can become entangled with one another, the human intellect becomes entangled in its own processes of interpretation. The more the mind analyzes phenomena like the double-slit experiment, the more conceptual frameworks it produces. Each explanation invites further questions, leading to deeper layers of theoretical speculation. Rather than leading to liberation from ignorance, this activity can bind the individual consciousness more firmly within the domain of conceptual thought. According to Shakta philosophy, the entire structure of cognition, perception, reasoning, and intellectual discrimination belongs to the domain of Shakti. She manifests the phenomenon, the observer, and the intellect that attempts to interpret it. Thus, the search for explanation remains within the sphere of her cosmic activity. The seeker who relies solely on intellectual investigation remains engaged in the play of Shakti rather than transcending it. This does not mean that scientific inquiry is meaningless. Rather, it can be understood as cosmic play through which the universe unfolds. The pursuit of knowledge, the discovery of paradoxes, and the development of theories are all expressions of Shakti's creative dynamism. The double-slit experiment, with its persistent mystery, becomes a striking example of this play. It stimulates the intellect endlessly while resisting final closure. Within this philosophical interpretation, liberation cannot arise solely from intellectual mastery of the universe. Since the intellect itself is a product of Mulaprakriti, it cannot by itself transcend the domain from which it arises. True freedom would require moving beyond the conceptual structures of the mind, reaching a direct realization that lies outside the processes of analytical reasoning. Thus, the double-slit experiment can be seen not only as a scientific puzzle, but also as a symbolic illustration of the limits of intellectual knowledge. It draws the mind into continuous investigation, demonstrating both the power and the limitations of human cognition. From the standpoint of Shaktism, This endless cycle of interpretation reflects the subtle way in which Shakti keeps the jiva, the individual soul, engaged in intellectual activity, ensuring that it remains within the vast and intricate play of cosmic manifestation.